Welcome, cellar dwellers, to the Matthew Street channel. I'm your host, Matthew Street, and I really appreciate you being here. Welcome to the cavern. My cavern, anyway. Hi, folks. How you doing? Hey, the White Album. Now, this happens to be my 6-disc deluxe edition that came out a couple of years ago. But when you think about the White Album, or it's officially known, the Beatles, which came out in 1968, it is an album that is, for many, number one on their list of favorite Beatle albums. They put the White Album, or the Beatles, right at the top of their list. And for good reason, too. It's a great album. It's a fabulous album, as all the Beatles albums are. Is there a bad Beatles album? Shall we try to debate that? No, we can't debate that. There is no bad Beatles album. Think of your favorite song on this album. What song or what defines this album for you? What makes this album stand out for you? A particular song, or what is it about this album that makes it stand out? What is the most recognizable song for you on this album? What's the song you talk about the most? Could it be While My Guitar Gently Weeps? Possibly. Could your favorite or your standout track be Back in the USSR? Perhaps. Dear Prudence? Birthday, one of my favorites. Julia, I'm So Tired, another one of my favorites. Obladi Oblada. Piggies, some people love Piggies. Helter Skelter, one of the heaviest tracks the Beatles ever recorded. Sexy Sadie, Cry Baby Cry, great track. So many. Such a wide, expansive album. The only double album per se, official double album in their original run of albums. It's a great album. I love it. When you think of really standout tracks, though, on here, what about controversial tracks? What about a track that's the most hated? See the direction I'm going in a little bit? The one that people loathe the most. The one that's maybe most talked about the most. Now, for me, and I'm guessing 90% of you folks out there, it's usually Revolution number 9, correct? Am I correct on that? You got to admit, folks, I've always hated the track. I always, from when I was a little kid and got this album from my parents in the late 60s, always hated Revolution number 9. If you ask me what's your worst track on the White Album, it would always be Revolution number 9. And in some instances, it could be considered the worst Beatles track ever in their entire catalog. But folks, hallelujah, I've come to see the light. Yes, folks. Yes. Someone dared to cover Revolution number 9, and now, like I said, I've had a vision, folks. I've had a vision. I've had an awakening to Revolution number 9 after hearing a cover version of it. And you know what? Revolution number 9 is darned cool right now for me, okay? So I'm going to put this just over a little bit to the side to have some more room here, because I'm going to talk about something very cool and something I think you need as a Beatles fan, as a rock and roll fan, you need to check out. Now, so who did this for me? What artist dared to cover Revolution number 9 and knock me out with it? Well, Shazam! The Shazam, to be more exact. Who's the Shazam? Who would be an artist that could cover Revolution number 9 successfully, make it their own, improve upon the Beatles' original? Well, that's not a stretch, but they certainly did, far and above, went way beyond the original. That's a true artist in my book. And the Shazam did that successfully. And folks, here is the EP. I'm going to talk about the Shazam more, but I want to show you that EP. It's called Rev 9. Okay, check this out, folks. The Shazam. Rev 9. You get 7 tracks on this EP. I won't really call it an album. In my book, you have to have like at least 8 to 9 songs to be an album. So I'm going to call this an EP, okay? I could be wrong, but... And if you look way to the right side here, Revolution number 9 is the final track on this EP. The Shazam Rev 9. Now this came out in 2000. Hopefully you should be able to find it, or a copy of it, or get it somewhere. But folks, find it. If you can't, I say support the artist and try to get a hard copy of it. But if not, try YouTube. You can try some streaming services to see if you can hear the song. But folks, of all places, a band, now you would think, oh, the Shazam covering Revolution number 9, they've got to be a British band or European or from New York City or LA or something. Folks, the Shazam are from Nashville, Tennessee, of all places. Good old Nashville. The main members of the band is Hans Rottenberry, Scott Ballou, who's the drummer, who sadly passed away in 2019. So they have been using different drummers in recent years. And Jeremy Asbrock on guitar. Hans Rottenberry is guitar, vocals, main songwriter. And sadly, like I said, they lost the drummer Scott Ballou a couple of years ago. But I think they are still continuing. I did hear rumors after he passed that they were going to be no more. But I have been hearing some talk through the internet that the Shazam are not finished yet, and they will be hopefully coming out with some new music. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about them. So, if you like the Beatles, if you like Cheap Trick, British rock and roll, power pop, then the Shazam are for you folks. You're going to love this band. They don't have a real large catalog, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to get into them a little bit. I certainly recommend, this video is about their cover of Revolution number 9, which is outstanding. Who would think a band would even dare or even attempt to cover the Beatles' Revolution number 9 and do it in such a cool way, in such a fun and exciting way, in a way that you want to hear it over and over again. Because I know the Beatles version, I don't really listen to it that often. I don't know why, but I just don't. But for what the Beatles, the experimental nature of what John and, of course, Yoko did with Revolution number 9 on this album, there was a lot there that we maybe didn't see in the Beatles version, that when handled by another artist and they put their spin on it, it makes Revolution number 9 a pretty darn good track, folks. Check it out and let me know what you think. Now, the Shazam, they started in the 90s. Their self-titled LP called The Shazam came out in 1997. So check this one out. This is really good, really straight ahead, balls to the wall, rock and roll, power pop, British invasion rock. Like I said, Cheap Trick, Beatles. Such great music on this first LP. 2 years later, in 1999, they released Godspeed the Shazam. This is the album that really put them over the top, especially with Steven Van Zandt. He loved this album, and he played a lot of the tracks on this album on Little Steven's Underground Garage on Sirius XM, and you could also hear it syndicated on Saturdays on stations around the country. That's when I first discovered the Shazam, was on Little Steven's Underground Garage, and wow, this is the album that broke them, in my mind. Godspeed the Shazam, 1999, is a fine album, an outstanding album. There's the inside there. They continued onwards in the year 2000 with this EP. Rev 9 came out in 2000, as I said. And then 3 years later, in 2003, they released the Shazam, Tomorrow the World. Again, continuing, expanding, growing as artists, but the same basic, cool, four on the floor, rock and roll, power pop, British rock, heavy rock. It's just melodic, fun, great music, folks. Great music. I can't pick a favorite. I love all their material. Now, their last official studio release is, I just dropped it on the floor. Hang on one second. Matthew Street doesn't edit, folks. As you know, I don't do editing. So everything's natural. It just happens natural around me. So anyway, in 2009, their most recent studio album is Meteor. And this is cool because it was produced by the same producer, Mac, who produced many of Queen's albums in the 70s and into the 80s, I believe. Mac produced this album, as you can see on the back there, produced by Mac. The Shazam, Meteor. Again, 2009, another great album. And wow, this one's very cool. Just the production values, having Mac behind the controls with them. It's just a great, great album. I think you'd love it, folks. So this is their most recent full studio album, but as I said, they have recorded since then. They've released a couple of singles here and there, and there is talk that there is an album that still has tracks with Scott Ballou on drums before he passed, that this album could be finally finalized, finished up, and released hopefully very soon. So, folks, I want to stress to you an artist you may not have heard about before, the Shazam, to check them out. And if not for anything, to really get into their music and love it and enjoy it as much as I do. One of my favorite rock and roll power pop bands the last 25 years or so. But you've got to check out their cover of Revolution number 9 by the Beatles. You have to check it out, folks. It is so cool. It is so experimental, so interesting. What they did with the arrangement of the Beatles Revolution number 9 and how they made it their own on this little EP is fabulous. You're going to love it. So my highest recommendation is this band, the Shazam, like I said, led by Hans Rottenberry and the late Scott Ballou. Check them out. Check out their CDs. Give them some love. Get into their Revolution number 9 album. It's all about the Beatles. No, in the end, folks, they are heavily influenced by the Beatles. They love the Beatles as much as we do. And I say give them a shot, give them a chance, and listen to their version of Revolution number 9. As I said, I've never been so blown away by a cover version, a song that I never thought anyone would have the gumption to cover. And these guys did it, and they did it successfully. Check it out. Take care, folks. Just a quick, short little video to say hi and talk some Beatles, talk some Shazam, talk some Revolution number 9. Hope you're all doing well, my friends, my subscribers, and everyone else who's still here. All 2 of you who are still left watching this at 13 minutes, you will get the secret sign. Love and peace from Matt Street. And for Del Griffith and Neil Page, bless you. Bye-bye.